Okay, so I know I'm filming this differently, but I am filming this on my phone because I am unavailable to use the camera right now. So, anyways, this is episode 10 of the Lego Legends of Chima TV show, and it's called Foxtrot. And so I'm going to be expressing my thoughts and a little synopsis on the episode. Sorry about that stain right there. I just noticed that, and that's on my Lego table, but it's more of like an acidic stain, which kind of sucks. So I'm probably just going to have to use a wipe to wipe that off. But thankfully it won't affect my Lego. So this episode is the first episode in 2 weeks because they didn't have an episode last week because they had the Yoda Chronicles, and then they moved the time slot to Thursdays. Or they moved the date, and they moved the time slot to 7. So usually when that happens, that means the show isn't doing really well because time slot changes and day changes are really bad. So that might not be a good thing for Chima fans or whatever, and not really a good thing for me because I actually really enjoy reviewing this show. I don't enjoy the show that much, but actually I really like this episode in short. So anyways, I'll just get to the synopsis. It starts out with Shadowwind racing Laval because they kind of encounter, and so Cragger and this time the Ravens try to capture, Cragger and Cruller and the Ravens try to capture Laval and or Shadowwind because Shadowwind, they say, and sorry about that, my printer's going off. Shadowwind is kind of, he's like, oh my gosh, I just had a blink out. He is supposedly, to them, like, preventing them from getting chi because he keeps on getting all the chi and stuff like that since he's such a good racer. I don't know, they said something along the lines of that. And so they don't capture him, which is no shock, you know, they usually don't succeed. And so Cruller goes and confronts the wolves to get to help them. So Cruller, you know, Cragger's sister, she tries to use a flower on them, but they actually resist it, which is pretty cool. But she brings up like an old treaty from a while ago, or not a treaty, or like, I think it was not a treaty, it was like whatever, it was something that King Crominus, or Crominus, however you pronounce him, I think it's Crominus in the show, he signed it with the wolves, and they had to like repay Crominus because he did something for them. So she brings that up, and so this is like their repayment or whatever. Or if she said that if they do this task, they won't have to pay up for it or something like that. I kind of missed that part. I'm not entirely sure about that. And so they switch back to, you know, Chima, the little kingdom or whatever, and they're starting to have one of those Chi Day races. And they actually introduced the Fox Furdy, which is why it's called Foxtrot. And it's funny because he doesn't have that big of like appearance in the show, but this whole episode is around his actions and stuff like that. So Furdy has a weird accent. I have to comment about that because it was just kind of weird. It wasn't like Australian, it wasn't like British, it wasn't American or anything like that. It was just kind of a mix of all those or something completely different. So I'm kind of confused on what accent they were trying to pull off. And so Furdy, what he does is he basically causes havoc. He like mixes all the speeders up, all their pieces and everything, and he tells the characters, which I hate it when this happens in TV shows and stuff, but he tells the characters that one person said this thing and the other person said the other thing, so, you know, it gets them all riled up. And that's just a cliche I really hate because it happens every time and everybody always falls for it. Like, whoa, Laval said this about this. But it did produce one actually funny part, which I'm kind of ashamed I laughed at because, and I laughed at it twice because there's two different parts about it. Not like a huge laugh, but it was with Rogan, which is the rhino guy. He tricks him into falling in love basically with Eris because he says that Eris, or he was already kind of liked Eris, and so he says that Eris like said that he's cute or something, like he likes her. So yeah, cliche. I didn't laugh at that part, but the part that I laughed at was that he just starts like staring at Eris, and then he just like walks past. Like it was completely like out of the place and just random. But I found that really funny, and he did that again like later, something along the lines about that. So I thought that was pretty funny. So congrats on actually having a funny part for me because it's really hard to get me to laugh. So we got that part. So he's causing havoc and everything, and they're racing. They start racing like always. Racing is basically no different. It's always like, oh, this is a different race, but you know, it's always some of them fall out and stuff like that. But it starts getting a little bit more because a lot of people are falling out, and a lot of people to the point that nobody is in the race except Shadowwind, and Shadowwind obviously wins the race like he always does. And so it shows that everybody's like fighting over each other because they're just like arguing because Ferdy caused all this havoc around them, saying that one person said this and another person said that. So it says that Ferdy is hired by the wolves, and how they're fighting actually reminds me of like the whole premise of the show, which is basically, the tribes are fighting, but this time they're fighting over no reason, which maybe that was a stab at, the show's plot, like they always fight over no reason, but it's like, this one actually had an explanation for it, so I just thought that was pretty cool how they did that, and they're not just like fighting, you said this is, it was just, they're like just fighting at each other for no reason, which is the show. So was that a satire of the show? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it. And so, let me see. Cruller and the wolves, they go to the Chi part, and they get all powered up, or the wolves get powered up. And Cruller kind of doesn't get powered up or anything, because she's a little bit, like, iffy about it. And, let me see, should have been distracted. And so Cragger comes in, he's like, was a plan, did you get all the Chi? And then she's kind of like iffy, like, the wolves have it and stuff like that. And so Cragger gets a little bit ticked off, so she brings out the flower, and this is part that I liked. Cragger didn't fall for the flower this time, and you know how much I hate the flower, because it's just like a stupid plot device, but he is starting to stray away from falling for the flower, because this time he was just like, no, that plant doesn't work, and he just knocks it out. So I hope they start doing that more, and they just abandon the flower completely. And make it like it doesn't work anymore on him, because the flower is just getting old. It's like, it's not, I don't know, it just, it makes it like, it's not his motivations, he's just getting controlled. So I do not like that flower, so I liked how they kind of knocked it out and stuff like that. So he didn't fall for it. And basically, they start fighting and stuff. The wolves start fighting because they're powered up on Chi and stuff. And so they start fighting Laval, which comes in, and then Cragger comes in and teams up with Laval, so that's pretty cool. They were fighting together, which it was actually a pretty cool fight. They were just, attacking each other, and it was a lot less goofy, and it was a little bit more intense, I gotta say. And so I liked it when Laval and Cragger teamed up, because, they were once friends and stuff like that, and maybe they teamed up just because Flower wasn't used or stuff like that, but Cragger was still, not the nicest person to Laval. And the wolves get away with the Chi, which is pretty cool, because usually on the end, the good guy always wins and stuff like that in this show, and this time the bad guys actually got away with the Chi. So that was really cool, and Cruller actually goes back with the wolves, so even though she got the Chi and they got the Chi and stuff like that, she throws the little, whatever it was like not a treaty or whatever, like the little signing thing, down to where King Crominus, I keep on wanting to say Crominius, I don't know why, where King Crominus is at, and basically she starts feeling bad about her actions, which is something that was really missing from the earlier episodes, because she would just do terrible stuff and she wouldn't really care about it and stuff. So it's nice to see more of a human side from her, and I hope that they go more into that. And that really ends the episode, because Rogan faints and they have a comedic part where Eris kisses him or whatever, and that part wasn't really funny. But at the end, it goes to the little ditch where they're at, and I think it was King Crominus, or, yeah, I said it right, King Crominus. He was down in the ditch, and it shows a shadow, and he picks up the little treaty or whatever, and that's it. But I don't know if it was exactly him, because it was just a shadow figure. So yeah, overall, I actually thought this episode was probably one of the best, because it wasn't bad. I mean, it had some of the stupid cliches, but it was definitely straying away from some of the, I guess they were like the same old stuff they would do, and there wasn't too much, like, I guess you could say gross out humor or anything like that. And I like how they're straying away from the plant, and they actually teamed up, and Crueller's starting to feel bad for action. So it shows it was a much more human episode, I guess you could say, because they have much more human sides. So yeah, probably one of the best episodes, maybe even the best. It still wasn't like the greatest thing ever. But yeah, so that was it. If you should watch a Chima episode in the next week, you should watch this one. And I'll see you guys later, hopefully with more reviews. Sorry this one was so sloppy.